Hey, I'm Greg.
And I'm Billy.
And together with the Fuji Guys.
Fuji Guys.
Hey, we're here on location today to give you some great tips on shooting 3D photography. We're actually filming this video in 3D with our new W3 3D camera. You may be watching this at one of our shows on a 3D TV, or you might be watching it in 2D on YouTube. Whichever way, we want you to just know that when you're shooting 3D, above and beyond many of the same principles and good ideas and tips we'd give you about general 2D photography, there's some special stuff that our subject should know. And first of all, let's talk about some basic principles about holding the camera. Billy?
Holding the camera, Greg. Basically, because the camera works using two different lenses, you have double the chance of getting your fingers caught in front of the lens.
Okay.
So ideally, you want to hold the camera like this, to sort of keep your fingers away from the lens.
Keep your fingers away from the lens. Now, do we shoot vertically and horizontally, or what?
Well, ideally for 3D effects, you need to definitely have the camera set in a more horizontal position, because if you try to shoot vertically, the screen is not designed in a way to show you that 3D effect. So
again, 3D is trying to mimic what our eyes see, so the horizontal spacing of the lenses is what allows to trick our mind to give a 3D effect.
That's
so
correct.
Shoot horizontally all the time. How about the distance between my camera and the closest subject? Are there any rules that we need to know?
Yes, Greg. I mean, when it comes to 2D photography in general, you normally just, pre-focus on the subject, push and shoot, and that's all you have to think about. But when it comes to 3D photography, there are a couple of tips you need to know to get the most effective 3D, and that is, because of the two lenses and the distance between the two lenses, ideally you need to be approximately 2 meters or further away when it comes to taking that subject to get you that most 3D effect. Of course, if you can pinpoint different positioning or objects in your scene that are about 5 meters and 8 meters and further away, you also increase the likeliness of the 3D effect.
Perfect. So don't get closer than 2 meters for your closest subject, and try and layer in other objects about 5 meters and possibly 8 meters behind to accentuate that 3D effect. Great tip there. So what if I do want to get a 3D picture of a flower or something closer that I have to get closer? Then is there any way to adjust this camera so that I can get closer?
That's a good point. When it comes to the 3D photography, because the lenses are fixed, when you get very close, you start seeing sort of a double image. We just sort of show you that right there. So that's not how you're going to be able to take a picture. So this camera has some advanced 3D shooting modes, one of them being the individual shutter mode that allows you to take one shot, and then the second shot, as you physically move the camera from side to side, to give you that same distance between the lens that you would have gotten by being 2 meters away. Now you're close up. So shooting in that individual shutter release mode to get close-up macros will allow you to shoot 3D macros.
So it's kind of like a manual 3D shooting. You're the one who's spacing the part based on your subject. So I think that's probably a little bit trickier, but because it's a digital camera, you can play around with that until you get it just perfect. So that's awesome.
Now what's cool too, Greg, is that on top of that advanced 3D feature, there's actually another mode called the interval shooting, which is very similar to the manual shooting. But let's say you're on a train or on a plane, and you're just sort of flying at a nice constant motion across the scenery. You can set it to this interval shooting, and when you push the button, it takes one shot, waits half a second, and shoots the next shot. Of course, you can adjust the timing, and it also gives you that sort of that physical ability to take sort of 2 shots left to right.
Okay, so when we're dealing with the idea of parallax, i.e., when we're trying to mimic what's with our eyes do, but we get either closer or subjects get further away or beyond our optimum, there are ways of adjusting the camera. But I guess sticking with your general 2 meters and 5 meter, 8 meter layering, that's the way to get the best 3D effect.
That's correct.
And again, just to emphasize a lot of the other basic principles of photography with lighting, I just would add one thing, that in particular high contrast lighting. We're out in the sun right now shooting this 3D video, and that's no accident. We picked this lighting specifically to be able to create more contrast and accentuate that 3D effect. Same goes with the 3D still shooting.
That's right.
So listen, I think we should have some fun with this video and show people that even though you shouldn't get closer than 2 meters, if you do create subjects in front like bubbles and guns and waving hands, but you don't get too close to the camera, you can create some great 3D effects. So here's Greg.
And I'm Billy.
And we're the Fuji Guys. And have fun with your 3D camera.
Enjoy.